a preamp with the DI out, because that's going to be on the whole gig. So how could anything be more useful? It affects your tone for the whole gig and gives you the sound you want if you choose the one that you like the most and know how to use it. It's me saying like an envelope filter so you can use it for 10 seconds. It's like, okay, cool. Or octave pedal that you're going to use for 2 choruses. That can't be number one. I would say number one has to be a preamp DI for a bass player. It's always on. And whether you're in a studio, live, at home, rehearsal, you can use that pedal 100% of the time. That's why I think that's got to be the vibe. Any tips for advancing slap past the basics? That's a tough one. I would say like this, because once, if you mean the basics, like to me, there's like 3 or 4 classic slap dudes who I learned slap from, like Prince, Larry Graham, Louis Johnson, and Bootsy maybe. And it's like, once you've learned that type of slap, you know, so I mean this, that kind of thing, or that's like the Louis Johnson thing, or Larry Graham. Or Bootsy. Then check out modern dudes using slap and try learn like one bar of that. So like Andrew Goucher, he does this a lot. He'll like slap and ghost on across all the strings. So you could take your pentatonic scale, like B minor pentatonic, and instead of like doing the old school thing, he'll do something like this. So that's like cool. I stole that from him. It's like, what's little concepts that modern dudes are doing? So yes, one from Andrew Goucher is slapping on every string and adding those ghost notes in there. Or, you know, K-Bass does this, I like. It's like hammer on. It's like hammer on and hammer on, double hammer-ons, ghost notes, root, octave, root, fifth. So yeah, I would say find modern guys that are doing stuff, and just like, even if there's one little tiny bar that you're like, oh, what is that? I've never done that before. Just try to figure out that one little bar really slowly and take the concept and then play it everywhere, you know. So that's what I'm saying, like that Andrew Goucher thing, or the K-Bass thing. Yeah, even like slapping an arpeggio, like Frank Bruno does that a lot. Like this kind. Etc. etc. Yeah. When you hear something that grabs your ear that you haven't done before, figure out what it is and apply the tiny concept to everything. That's how you can learn everything. I really think that, you know. You could ask the same question about a totally different topic, and I think the answer can be the same. It's like, find where that's happening in your favorite music, figure out what it is, and then put it everywhere. Like, even if it's playing through chord changes, someone will say, what exercises can I learn to play through chord changes? You know, people ask this kind of stuff all the time. And then I'm like, have you transcribed like one bar of whoever you love? One bar of someone who's really amazing at playing through chord changes. Have you transcribed one bar? No. Okay. So you're going to just be stuck playing exercises then, because you're not learning vocabulary. But if you say to someone, what about this? This is all from like transcribing. It's not from exercises. This is how you can play like your heroes. Then you just take what they did a little bit and then you play it everywhere in your own ways and it becomes your own concept. That's just what I think, you know. But like running up and down exercises, that's just geography. It's not music. Do you have any exercises for making your fingers independent? The answer to that question is inside music you love. Because look, people always give this exercise when they talk about independence in fingers. They go, do this and keep your fingers close to the fretboard. And that's good. Or, you know, chromatics. Yes, that's really good. And then change the order of that. So instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, go 1, 3. People give that as an exercise a lot. And yes, it is good in the beginning and it works. But how's about learning a difficult melody that you love? Like, that's a lot harder. And at the end of it, you learn dynamics, musicality, phrasing, how to play through chord changes. Why do you want to exercise that's like only technical and erases everything musical? Learn music that forces you to learn everything. Honestly, I was like really bad at theory and all this stuff for so long because I just played in rock bands and metal bands from 13 to 21. I literally didn't know the notes on my bass. I spent like 8 years. I just played like rock riffs and metal riffs. I didn't know what I was doing. If you said play me D major triad, I would have been like, I don't know what that is and I don't know where D is. But yeah, I really got deep into it for like maybe 5 or 6 years. And I really got into improvising and learning from improvisers and playing standards. I spent like a good amount of years doing that. That was so helpful, like learning, even though I'm not a jazz musician at all, learning the fundamentals of like harmony and playing through chord changes and walking bass. That helped me put everything together for sure. Because I'll tell you what I think. When you play like pop and rock and funk and hip hop and soul and R&B and whatever, you learn bass lines. But you don't ever have to know what the harmony even is. No one's going to ask you and you don't have to improvise. So if you make a bass line or someone writes a bass line and they say, cool, here's the bass line. I don't actually need to know what chord I'm playing on. I just need to execute those notes. But when you have to improvise, you can't really improvise unless you can hear and know what the chords are. So I think forcing yourself to get into improvising on chords, and whether that means you want to like learn some jazz standards, that's up to you, because some people just don't love that music. That forces you to understand harmony, because you can't play on like, you know, on that really like you can't get to how you want to play quickly if you don't know something about harmony. There's exceptions to this, but I wasn't one of those exceptions. A lot of the time, unless you play jazz or play music where there's improvisation, because a lot of the modern gospel guys are improvising the whole time. And that's why they do know a lot about modes and scales and arpeggios, because when they're playing, they are like improvising within the tune, like all the videos I see all of the time. So it's almost like, yeah, either you're going to need to get into the Lord or you're going to need to get into jazz in order for you to have a place to like be forced to use that stuff creatively. I was also really lucky because alongside getting into improvising, I started teaching at a university, and so I had to teach theory to like 100 vocalists a week, every week, for years and years and years. And that was like really good as well. I'm asking because I find it's exhausting learning riffs all the time. It's hard to find a really good structure and theory to follow. If I haven't sent you my website, like, it's free and I don't want your email. It's just free. And it goes in like the order of how I used to teach basic harmony to my students. It's like major scales in all keys, triads, arpeggios, pentatonics, modes, all like fundamental stuff. So yeah, if you DM me, I'll send it to you if I haven't sent it to you already. And there's videos. For example, modes. I'm currently going to play all the different modes in one key. But how will that benefit me in my approach, and how do I apply it? Let me tell you right now. So, for instance, this song, this chord here, I could treat it as D Lydian, okay? Chord 4 of A major. Now, if you know what that is and you've done that, like you say you have, then, okay, cool. You would play your D Lydian mode on this chord, and let's do that. And you should know it in all positions. But then stop playing it up and down. Like, stop doing this and expecting that to just become musical. No, force yourself to make music with that mode. Treat it like a key that you're going to spend time making melodies inside. So look, here's D Lydian. But now look at this. You see I played. That's a beautiful melody in the key of D Lydian. I didn't practice D Lydian. This is not going to help you. If you know the modes across the bass and in keys like you've said, make music in it. Force yourself to make music. Here's the shape. How does this key and mode feel? So all I do when I practice, I don't even call it practicing, but all I do is I spend time within that key and I try to make as much music with it. Try to make as many musical ideas as I can. So that when I'm playing bass and it gets to chord 4 of A major and I'm playing bass and I've worked on, then when I'm playing bass, so you can see now I'm like, oh, I can use that stuff I worked on and my understanding of D Lydian, how to express the mood of D Lydian, to create fills and melodies. But I won't just play it up and down. Because when singers get asked to improvise on, say, this chord, they don't have frets and shapes. They use their ears, you see. So you have to be so in tune with that key that you can sing through the bass. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 4. No. Understand how every note relates to the chord and affects the color of the chord. And then you should be able to sing through the bass while you play at the same time. This is improvising. Improvising is not just playing licks you learned. That's just like performing a lick. No, think like what a singer has to do if they want to improvise. You should be able to do that, but just so happens to be that you play the bass. And the way you do that is spending time inside the modes or arpeggios, whatever you're learning, pentatonics, and know it so well that you know how every note will color the chord before you play it or at the same time as you're playing it. That's the goal. And you have to just spend so much time that happens.